Welcome to Your Number Man, where we share financial strategies, business insights, and inspiring stories to help you navigate a successful business. I am your host, Johan Zanik, and my goal is to help you achieve a bigger life in business. Welcome. This is 2025, my first podcast for this new year, and I am very happy to be back. You are ready to take this year by the horns, and like me, you're full of energy, focus, and determination. So last year was my first year of the podcast, and it was actually a great year. We talked a lot about your business fundamentals. We talked about goal setting, strategy, marketing, mindset, and we also had a lot of guests in as well, and the guests share their stories about the purpose and resilience, which I believe is one of the key factors and key metrics for business success. So this year, we're really going to focus on 5 critical areas, and today is basically set the groundwork for those areas. We know what's to come and what we need to focus on, perhaps here and there go into a little bit of technical detail. So I will basically give you the breakdown. So it's definitely going to be the numbers. We're going to really focus on the numbers, make sure we understand them, different areas in terms of ratios. Secondly, we'll focus a lot on business vision, purpose, and the future as well. We'll talk about focus on models, how to scale, how to innovate. We did speak about it last year, but perhaps really dig more into that this year as well. And then resources, efficiencies, all about what metrics need to be measured, how to measure it, how to manage it, and how to get the best outcomes for it. And then lastly, we'll focus on market trends, competition, how's the world changing, how can we change our models and our team and resources to provide for them all. Okay, so let's talk about numbers quickly. So we all know that numbers is the language of business. It basically gives us an idea for where we've been, where we are at the moment, and where we're going. And last year, I did focus a lot on the business fundamentals about numbers. You know, we don't all need to be accountants or bookkeepers or have an MBA degree to understand how to really put numbers to work for your business to thrive. But it is important that we have to grasp the essential elements of the business numbers, which is your gross profit, net profit, return on investments, capital expenditure, how it all gets affected in the balance sheet and profit and loss, to do your budgeting and forecasting, and then obviously your cash management, which is definitely your king of the business. Cash is king. Let me just sketch you a bit of a story. It's actually a true story. It's a story about a guy called Richard Branson behind the Virgin Group. Now, Richard Branson, when he was young, he was branded as being dyslexic, and he also had ADHD, and he really struggled with numbers and words. So when he was 16 years old, he left school and he started thinking about ideas and business. So 6 years later, in 1972, he founded the Virgin Group with Virgin Records. He had this amazing vision of how to build industry and his brand. He was clever as well to build a team of experts that can help him overcoming all the obstacles in terms of the financial and the legal and on all the business aspects as well. Based on that concept, with his strong vision and his team of experts, he built this into a multi-billion-dollar business by the year 2000, with a lot of different industries feeding back into the Virgin Group. But he actually sat in a board meeting in his mid-50s. They were discussing financials and how, difference between net profit and gross profit and how it all impact on the business. And that's when the penny dropped for Richard Branson. An executive tore a page out of his diary and he took a blue highlighter and he colored the whole page with blue and said, okay, Mr. Branson, this is the ocean. He took his pen out and drew a net. He said, now, this is the net in the ocean. And he drew some fish in the net. He said, now, the fish in the net is our catch. This is your catch for the day, our net profit. So that is basically what you can take home. The rest of the ocean with all the other fish around it is your gross turnover, which is part of the business, but it is not a net effect. The net effect is what is in the net. So based on that principle, Branson then really got a clear understanding of how it all set out. And it's just a good explanation or a good way of us to understand that creative communication can make very complex issues quite understandable, and how we can leverage trying to understand. This is a great story to show how creative communication can make complex ideas accessible and how Branson actually leveraged his unique learning style to grasp essential business concept. And this initial gap in financial knowledge, he uses that and basically focused on his team and his vision then to build the Virgin Group into a powerhouse by focusing on the vision with his team of experts. Now, what has this to do with us? We don't have a team of experts. We don't have the luxury of the team of experts at our fingertips. Whatever the fact might be, I can basically guarantee if you got a good understanding of numbers, whether you do it yourself by learning, you read books, you listen to podcasts, follow YouTube videos, really get into your numbers, or you build yourself a team expert, numbers will definitely make a profound effect on your business at the end of the day. So coming back to gross profit, which I explained was all the fish around the net, all the fish in the ocean, is basically your sales minus your direct cost. That gives you gross profit. Your ratio is your gross profit over your sales, which gives you a percentage. The dynamics of gross profit is, I always say, it's the engine room of your business. If cash is king, gross profit is queen. Picture this scenario. Let's say you got a product that you want to sell for $25. It costs you $15 to make this product. So you're going to make a gross profit of $10 on this. And if you sell 1,000 of them, you will be making $10,000 in gross profit. Now, what if we really dig into how we can actually get a better price for our product? Let's say we'll be able to increase the price by 2.5%. Okay. And we also really look at the efficiencies and see that we are able to bring down the cost to make this product by 2.5%. For instance, you got a net and we take the net out of the water and fill all the gaps and make sure that there's less fish basically escaping from the big holes in the net. That is one way to create better efficiencies. That will have an effect of 11,000 in gross profit as opposed to 10,000 before. Now, let's say, for instance, our overheads, that means all the other costs like your rent, your fixed expenses like management, salaries, insurances, electricity, comes to 6,000. So that means previously you made 4,000 profit, the overhead still stay at 6,000, and now you're making 5,000 profit. So if you then take the difference between 5,000 and 4,000, it's $1,000 in net profit, which is 25%. So by scaling a little bit, increasing your price a little bit, and work on your efficiencies, which was just marginal, just a little bit fine tuning, had a profound effect of 25% in your net profit. That is basically what I want to bring home. The whole mechanism of how gross profit can affect what you can take home, and by changing it a little bit, having a great effect on overall situation of the business. So we talked about gross profit and net profit, which is your gross profit minus all your overheads. That gives you net profit. A very big indicator of a business success is you take your net profit and you divide it over your sales, which give you your net profit margin as well. So that is perhaps a good margin to follow. Perhaps see you can benchmark it against previous results, previous history, or also you can see what is the industry benchmarks for specific net profit margins. And I would say the standard small to medium-sized manufacturing business would probably aim for something between a 12 and a 15% net profit margin. Now, part of the whole number concept is cash. Cash is very important. Your cash management. Cash is the lifeline of your business. It's the oxygen of your business. Now, it's very important to take into account when the executive took Branson out of the office, explained to him the concept of net profit, this is your take home. He probably could have said, it's not really taking home because it's not actually cash, because cash and net profit is not totally the same thing. You've got to keep in mind that sometimes there are part of your business that goes on to the balance sheet. For instance, if you buy assets or you got loans that you want to repay, that it's got to go off your bank. That does not affect your profit and loss. So we all got to keep that in mind into a cash flow sheet as well, which fits somewhere in between your balance sheet and net profits. And that's very important, is what is your free cash flow of the business. To follow up with your bank reconciliation, which is very easy these days. We got good programs like Xero, Intuit, Recon Accounting, things like that. Now, I've seen it where people do it on a daily basis. Their cash flow are really very structured, and it makes it so much easier when you do your cash flow forecast and you work out what are your future taxes that you got to pay, what is your loans that you got to pay, what is the interest involved in that as well. So that helps a lot with your cash flow management. And also very important is how you manage your debtors, like get your invoicing out on time, following up your debtors. If people don't pay on time, get on the phone and ask them, is there a problem? Why has it not been paid on time? So all those little things you can do to increase your cash flow is very important. And then also one big topic under the numbers is obviously your capital expenditure. Any business would come at crossroads at some stage where they would start stagnate if they don't invest any further money into expanding, for instance. So in Branson's case, they might decide, okay, what if we buy a new net? It will catch more fish, less fish will be able to escape, and we would be able to throw this net wider. This net is probably going to cost us an extra 10 grand for capital expenditure, but it can have a profound effect on our efficiencies and our gross profit margin, if I can refer back to our previous analogy. So capital expenditure is all about changing your business model a little bit, and then we'll have more confidence in your market and your strategic alignment as well. Now, there's a rule called the rule of 72, which is a nice, easy kind of hack that you can use in a boardroom to prioritize decisions. If you spend a certain amount of capital and you want to pay it off over a certain amount of time, what is the return on investment that you need to get from that capital? For instance, if you want to pay something off over 3 years, you take 72 divided over 3, and that will give you 24%. So your 24% is then the return this asset has to give you over each year, and that means you would basically double the money. What would the return on investment be if the return on investment is 18%? How long would it take me to pay it off? Then you take your 72 and you divide it over your 18, and it gives you 4 years. It's good for decision making. It's easy to prioritize. It's a nice tool to have in a boardroom with a simple calculator and make a few decisions. At that time, you're probably going to say, okay, we've made a few decisions. Now let's look at further options as well. That's when you would probably get somebody in like me that will then go into an analysis of cost benefit and to say, okay, step it out and work out exactly what would the future cash flows be and all those analytics around it. It's a good hack to know, and it helps a lot with making decisions on the spot as well. The second critical factor that I think we should focus on for the next year would be the vision, the future, and the purpose. A vision is quite wide. It will basically set the direction where the purpose drives your strategy. The vision would be simple to say, I'll be able to retire in 10 years' time. So we got to build up a business that's got a net equity of 3 million after tax. That means selling the business for 3 million and you can retire. Or you got to have a turnover, a maintainable turnover or a maintainable income, net income after tax of 1 million in 10 years' time. And that will basically set the tone. If we use a factor of 3, make the business worth about 3 million. So you can sell it for 3 million as well and then retire comfortably. So that is how I always say, start with your end in sight and work on your plan forward. The vision and purpose of why you want to start a business will give you the strategy. We can actually compare it to a game of golf. What is the vision? The vision is to enjoy a nice game with your friends. You also want to try and better your stroke. So you want to end a match with as little as possible. The purpose is you got to look at your course layout, your challenges, all the different holes, the weather, and eventually you'll be able to enjoy a nice day of golf with your mates and sit at a 19th hole, had a couple of cold beers and rejoice on your best strokes of the day. When your vision is clear, your decisions become much more structured and planned. The third critical area I reckon we should focus on for this year would be really dig into our business model, how to scale, how to innovate, and how to create value. Value is originated from the Latin word valere, which means strong or to be of worth. And that is basically what we want to do in our business. We want to be of worth or give value to our customers. Now, we all know about a company, Kodak. Some of us who's a little bit older might remember that the world basically coined the phrase Kodak moment. Kodak moment is probably that specific moment in time when somebody takes a picture that is really profound. Kodak was so popular in the photographic world that to be able to coin a phrase and refer back to Kodak, that is gold if you got that branding. And Kodak also in 1975 invented a digital camera or taking digital pictures. They didn't really capitalize on it. They thought it's more important to focus on the biggest part of the business was supplying film, and they also later on went into photocopying and printers. So they really got sidetracked with that part of the business. It was also very hard because in the photocopier, there was other big players as well, like Xerox and Canon, who really had a big share in that market. So they basically missed that boat when it comes to digital photography as well, because we had companies like Sony and Canon as well and Nikon who really took care of that market. So in 2000, Kodak actually come to a realization that they missed that boat. They kept on trying for another 12 years, but eventually filed for bankruptcy in 2012. Now, it's a tough story for Kodak, but it's also a very good lesson to learn is how to keep up with change in the environment and new customer needs and aspirations and what value they really want from your business, even if it would disrupt your current business model. And their business model was all about Kodak's selling films, and the whole effect that moved to digital photography changed that a lot. The fourth area that I think we should cover in 2025 would be really focusing on key performance indicators, what metrics you're going to use, what measures would you use to really are results driven from areas in your business. And then also the KPIs would be financial KPIs, like all the different ratios which you can get in your profit and loss sheet, in your balance sheet, in your cash flow, in your inventory that you run. But there's also non-financial KPIs, which is more about your team, the efficiencies, marketing, and in production, operational. So it's a KPI, a good system for teams to keep clear on their progress and keep them accountable as well. And then lastly, number 5 critical area we should focus on this year is your market trends and competition. We're going to look at your industry, your competitors, your point of difference, your unique selling proposition. What are you really selling and how can you expand that point of difference? And a very important topic within there is working out what is your lifetime customer value. And I think it's almost quite important. We might even do a total episode based on that, because we spend a lot of time in marketing getting customers, but what is that customer really worth to you, and how can we turn the numbers around to make sure it's a good return, focusing on customer lifetime value. Those are the 5 items I really think we focus on it, but it's risky, but it can be extremely rewarding. Think about the analogy I explained about Virgin and how the concept of net profit was explained to Richard Branson, the catch in the net. That is what business is about, the cash flow. What are you taking home today? We got to stay on top of our numbers, stay on top of our vision. You got to innovate. You got to set KPIs and look at our point of difference. What is our unique selling proposition to navigate challenges in business and seize great opportunities? Let's make 2025 a great year. You can listen on this podcast. There will be online programs that I'm going to put out throughout the year. There's going to be YouTube content. There's going to be very insightful guests. And I reckon we're going to take this year by the horns. Let's thrive in 2025. Before I wrap up, I have something very exciting to share with you. My new product called Mastering Your Pricing is now available. And it's all about the power of pricing and how it can help you to align the value you deliver with your overall business vision. It consists of a webinar with interactive slides where I'll guide you from analyzing costs to building a profitable pricing model. It also includes some practical templates that will take you through a cost-plus model to a value-based strategy. And that is in Excel format, and you can basically use that template to apply it in your own business or any business ideas that you are thinking of. Now, this product is only 59 Aussie dollar, and I believe this is a very small investment, and it will pay for itself over and over and over again if you apply it correctly. But to make it even better, I'm running an early bird special, and that will be until the end of January 2025. So you can grab this powerful business tool for only $34.90. You'll find a link to it on the show notes of this episode, or you can just head over to my website, www.yournumberman.com.au, and there's a link to it as well. So I would also ask you to do me one big favor. Please tell all your friends who are in business or are thinking about it to grab this product. It could just be the breakthrough they need to gear up for this exciting year. And it is going to be an exciting year, believe me. Okay, That's all from me today. This is Johan Zanik, and I'm signing off as your number man. Ciao.